Hello, welcome to the first edition of Sissy Chef. I'm your host, Nicole Midnight. I'm making this show because my goddess wants me to. And I figured I should make something tasty so all you other sissies can learn how to cook for your goddesses as well. So today we're going to be making pesto pizza. I have 2 cups of flour in here, a third of a cup of milk, and a third of a cup of warm water, which we're going to add in right now. Adding to this, we are taking a tablespoon of vegetable oil, and a teaspoon of dry yeast. Once you've mixed this up, you need to let it sit for I'd say about 45 minutes to let all this dough rise. So we're going to stir it all up. Now that we have the dough all nice and mixed, we're going to cover it with some tin foil and let it sit for about 45 minutes and let it rise. Now that the pizza dough is risen, we're greasing up a pan really quickly. Just lubing it up. I'm using a little bit of olive oil in order to make sure the pizza will not stick to the pan when it's done baking. In order to make your dough a little bit easier to handle, you're going to take just a little bit of flour, sprinkle it on the outside. This will keep it from sticking to your hands. While you're handling it. You want to do a quick little knockback. And just slowly begin to shape the dough. Just to give it a nice, even distribution before you slam it onto the pan like that. Then you want to spread it out. You put it on the pan and you spread it out. Just until it's all nice. And now you want to let it sit for a minute, just to let it expand a little bit more. Another 5 or so minutes. Docking. Now we're docking the dough. Docking is basically putting a bunch of little holes along the pizza to keep air bubbles from popping up as it bakes. We're going to pre-bake this for about 10 minutes on 400 degrees. So it just gets partially baked. Because I like to put a lot of toppings on my pizza. And if you put too many toppings on, the crust isn't going to cook completely. So I let this pre-bake for about 10 minutes. And then I pull it out. Then I add my sauce. And then we'll be adding all the toppings. While that's baking, we're going to get our toppings ready. We're going to use some onion, some poblano pepper, some Kalamata olives, and the feta. Well, we don't really have to prepare that since it's already ready. First, I slice the ends off the onion so I can slice it in half like this, just to make it easy to take off, just to make it so easy to unwrap all that paper. We're only going to use half an onion, I think. Just that. Now we're going to use half an onion, and I'm going to slice it into the dicer and just push it through just like that. And we're going to do the same thing with the pepper. Get the paper off of that. Cut that up a little bit smaller, I think. There we go. So we're going to slice the pepper like that. And the other one. And then we're going to take just a decent little handful of olives here. And we're going to dice these up as well. It's a little finicky. Maybe a little bit more olives. Just a little bit. Alright. Now we're going to put that off to the side. For the cheeses we're going to be using today, I've got the feta. I've got some provolone, which I'm going to break up and sprinkle across the top. And we have some mozzarella. This is going to be really, really tasty. Now I just have to wait for the dough to finish pre-baking, and then I'll be throwing the pizza into the oven after we get all this wonderful stuff put on top of it. Now that we've got our crust baked, we're going to just slowly spread all of this pesto nice and evenly. Just so we can have a nice flavorful spread. I really cannot wait to try this. I really wish my goddess could try it too. Just want to make sure we got some pesto all over this. I like to use a lot of pesto. I just really love the taste. Really love the taste. Now that we've finished getting the pesto, we're going to sprinkle down a nice thin layer of mozzarella. This is our base layer. This is just to make sure that everything, all the toppings we put on, have something to stick to. And here we have all of the peppers, the onion, the olives. All that's going to go right on there. I really like to go really thick on the toppings. I really love a flavorful pizza. And now we're going to sprinkle on some feta. Just a good amount of feta. Get that a little more evenly spread there. Now, provolone. Just tearing it up into pieces and bits. Probably going to end up using maybe 2 slices for this whole thing. Just to give a little bit of a unique flavor to this. I really cannot wait until this is finished. After this, you're going to want to put it in for maybe another 15 minutes, since we pre-baked the crust. And since it's fairly thin. And this way, you get what I like to call structural pizza. Structural pizza meaning you can grab a slice of it, it'll hold itself up. It won't be too crunchy, but it won't be too it won't be too floppy either. And now we're just going to add a little bit more mozzarella, just to make sure it's got that full coverage. And now this is ready to go in the oven. Again, for about 15 minutes, a little bit longer if you want. But yeah, this is going to be really, really good. Now the pizza is completely baked. It's ready to slice, and it's ready to be enjoyed. And you should be on your knees when you present it. Thank you for joining me. This has been first episode of Sissy Chef, and I'm going to try to do one of these once a week. Bon appetit.